In the heart of the Windy City, on March 1st, 1935, a boy was born who would grow into a man of grit, charm, and relentless determination. His name, Robert Conrad. Born Conrad Robert Falk, he would rise to become a symbol of mid-century American masculinity, best remembered for his electrifying performances, his iron-willed independence, and the unforgettable image of a man in tight pants throwing punches across the television screen. This is his story. Robert Conrad, TV's original action hero from the Wild Wild West. Chicago, Illinois, a city of steel, sweat, and skyscrapers. The son of Leonard Henry Falk, a German immigrant, and Alice Jacqueline Hartman, a fiercely ambitious mother of Polish descent, young Robert was raised in a city as tough as he was destined to be. Life wasn't easy. His mother, just 15 years old when Robert was born, worked hard to make ends meet. But her fire, her fight, and her refusal to be beaten by circumstance would shape the boy's spirit. As a teenager, Robert worked as a milkman. At 5 o'clock in the morning, while most of his peers were still in bed, Conrad was hauling crates and running routes. He once said it gave him muscles before he knew what to do with them, but he also had a rebel streak. He dropped out of school at 15, later returned, only to leave again. He was headstrong, defiant, and fearless, traits that would serve him well in the rough-and-tumble world of Hollywood. Before the bright lights came, the hard knocks. Conrad worked as a dock worker, a nightclub bouncer, even a stuntman. He studied theater at Northwestern University, one of the few structured environments he ever voluntarily entered. And then came his break. It was 1957. Rock and roll was king, and Conrad, rugged, handsome, and hungry, caught the eye of Warner Brothers. He signed with the studio and began landing roles in TV and film. In those early years, he went by the name Robert Conrad, and audiences quickly took notice. His looks were matinee idol perfect, his voice confident, his presence magnetic. Then in 1959, a role came along that would change everything. Hawaiian Eye. Conrad starred as Tom Lapaka, a private detective in Honolulu. The show was a hit, running for 4 seasons and making Robert Conrad a household name. But for Conrad, it was only the beginning. He wanted more action, more danger, more fire. Enter the Wild Wild West. Premiering in 1965, the show was a bold blend of spy thriller, western, and science fiction. At its center was Secret Service agent James T. West, dashing, daring, and deadly, and Robert Conrad played him to perfection. With his tailored suits, blazoned pistols, and gravity-defying stunts, Conrad didn't just play the part, he was James West. He did his own stunts, often at great personal risk, famously suffering multiple injuries on set. But that was Conrad. Full throttle, no excuses. The Wild Wild West was unlike anything else on television. It had gadgets, it had gunfights, it had style, and anchoring it all was Conrad's electric performance. For 4 unforgettable seasons, he rode trains, dodged explosions, and faced villains with cool confidence and a cocky grin. But Robert Conrad wasn't content to be boxed in. After the Wild Wild West ended in 1969, he launched into new projects, TV movies, action series, even directing. One of his most memorable roles came in the late 70s as World War II pilot Major Greg "Pappy" Boyington in Baa Baa Black Sheep, later retitled Black Sheep Squadron. Once again, Conrad brought fire and authenticity to the screen, portraying another real-life tough guy with unshakable charisma. Off-screen, Conrad was no less formidable. He had a reputation for being strong-willed, opinionated, and proudly outspoken. He boxed, he rode horses. He refused to let stuntmen take the hits for him. He was also a family man, raising 8 children and often working with them in film and television. To Robert, family was everything, and he didn't care much for Hollywood pretension. He also gained fame for his no-nonsense persona in commercials. In the 1970s, he starred in a now iconic spot for Eveready batteries, where he stared into the camera, dared viewers to knock the battery off his shoulder and said, "I dare ya." It was classic Conrad. Tough, direct, unforgettable. But life wasn't all applause and adventure. In later years, Robert faced health issues and personal setbacks. A car accident in 2003 left him partially paralyzed, and he largely withdrew from public life. Yet even then, the spark of defiance remained. He gave interviews. He smiled. He carried on. Robert Conrad passed away on February 8, 2020, at the age of 84. He died of heart failure, surrounded by family. But the legend, the man who brought grit and glory to America's small screens, lives on. From Chicago's streets to Hollywood's soundstages, from the beaches of Hawaiian Eye to the locomotive-powered adventure of the Wild Wild West, Robert Conrad carved out a place in television history, not just as an actor, not just as a star, but as a symbol of rugged independence, unrelenting courage, and a time when heroes were made of muscle and nerve. This was Robert Conrad, and this was his wild ride. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.